What is going on, everyone? Astrologer Eric Rosen from Viking Rising Astrology, and welcome to not just the new moon in Capricorn horoscope, whoop, but also this is the new year horoscope too. This is us having a new moon literally on December 31st, officially peaks out in the afternoon right before midnight when we transition in 2025. And so, although we do operate off of a weird calendar system where we start a new year in the dead of winter, there is something to say about the intention of the way we started a new year and the astrology of what things look like in that turn of the dial to midnight and when we go into that new year. So it's like this new moon in Capricorn is going to have a lot of potency. There's a lot to get to here, and what this next year is going to look like, at least a layer of it, because astrology has layers. But before we get into that, if you want to get an astrology reading, book that link down below. If you want to get like a lesser than interpretation of something going on for you, like with your sun, your rising sign, maybe you don't have the budget to invest in a personal astrology reading, go with that sun and rising for your zodiac sign for the Pluto and Aquarius next 20-year transit, or you can do the Destiny Tug of War, which gets into more of the outer planet shifting signs for your sun and rising sign. Of course, there's other neat links down below for little offers, big and small. But let's talk, shall we, about how in this new moon, the dynamic duo that is Batman and Robin needs to finally go through a breakup. Just like in the Batman saga, Robin had to move on and do his own thing, and then Batman had to become solo again. This is going to be a big new moon for looking at, do you really know how to be a boss in your own life and actually plan the trajectory of the better future that you're going to with better partnerships and not leaving any hanging chads around that you're hanging on to in a codependent nature. This is for, of course, all of us to look at. Starting with the basics, right? New moon, fresh energy, fresh start, cool. Let's see where this next at least 28-day cycle is going. And of course, it has implications because it's on the new year calendar of it going forward for this next 12 months. But it's all right, what is Capricorn? It's discipline. It's all about the realistic trajectory of where we're going, right? That plan, that discernment, that focus, that maturity to not be immature, especially with Mars retrograde in Leo, where it's all right, we've got decisions to make. And so it's well, what do these decisions look like for where we're going? Because new year calendar, new moon, and also a new moon without Pluto. So it's this is more of your basic Capricorn energy, where it's not so transcendental, evolutionary, deep, crazy transformation elements of things. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, is in Pisces, and so definitely about a shedding of the past, a letting go, making space for an upgrade in consciousness of how we plan and strategize things. It's not just about the to-do list and I'm going to go build my ivory tower and I'm going to do all this great things in the 3D. There is a 5D and higher dimensional element to this new moon in Capricorn, because Saturn is that ruler. And so it's about shedding the bullshit subconscious stuff that we carry. This could even be layers of where we think that we're, awesome spiritual beings, but then it's does the scoreboard actually match? And then we actually have to tend to that. And it's not that we have to boast about how we're tending to it. It's people helping starving children just to get the picture for their social media. It's we do it so that we can be a better hybrid model of what it looks like to role model a spiritual path, while also getting things done in a public sense, achieving our goals. And so this is about the real ones. This is about the truth of a spiritual path, where it's do you actually know how to plan and make things happen and get things done, or has it been more hand to mouth, out of fear type things? And so this is a chance for us to really break out of that. We also have that Mars retrograde in Leo during this new moon make aspects to the nodes in a good way. And so it's South Node in Libra. It's okay, shit out like the codependent relationships, the things that are imbalanced, and then that trine that Mars makes to that North Node. It's like, this is very much about taking action, about moving forward. It's about going in the direction that feels spiritual, but also that can do like realistic piece of things. And with Chiron direct right before this full moon, it's like, it's not so much like the more introverted like element of like our wounding. It's more so like any ego wounds, anything that we're dealing with where we're not feeling our best or strongest or happiest. It's more like we have to like wear our heart on our sleeves and just kind of like own that piece and like show up as that. So that speaks to that authenticity. It speaks to that vulnerability. That Chiron going direct is making aspects over to Mercury that's in Sagittarius. And so I think we can start to like get the answers, but it's only getting the answers like as we're taking action, like getting over our sensitivities for just like moving forward. If you're waiting for getting all the information at once and piecing together a big puzzle and then celebrating it very Sag-like, and then you're gonna go do it, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Like that's actually, you know, putting makeup on the wounds and trying to hide from the wounds and like not just like showing up and be like, okay, this is me. I'm a fucking wounded healer. It's like, I got a wound, but I still show up. So we've got to be willing to put brackets around like, what's our kingdom? This is a good way to look at this, where it's like, what is your domain of like actually what it is that you're building? And so the prudence, the futuristic thinking of like where it's going with that new moon making a semi-square over to Venus in Aquarius, which is the planet that's actually moving forward the fastest. It's like, you know, there can be an electricity and an excitement, but it's also not carrying like partnerships that are just coming to us, that actually they're more meant to be acquaintances. And then we have to factor in like, are they actually a part of the plan? Like this is kind of the hard part of the astrology, where it's like being like, if Uncle Scrooge like had a spiritual awakening and still knew that he had to like focus and get things done to like help others, but he opened his heart and felt good, and then he's just like a very friendly, kind, like, no thank you, like, nope, sorry, I can't do that thing. You know, it's like, you know, like they portrayed Uncle Scrooge as like, oh, he's just gonna like give it all away and say yes to everybody. And it's like, well, we can't do that with this new moon. It's like, this is your next month going forward. This is a part of your next year going forward. It can't be a slop house of just going out, having fun, connecting with every person that will like talk to you or like engage with you. And so it's not about being cold with Pluto and Aquarius. It's more so about, you know, knowing just the truth of like what you're meant to connect with and not. And as that North Node is getting closer to that Neptune in Pisces, while it's still in Aries, it's like these actions that we're taking, the things that we're deciding to do in all these situations with, you know, the Capricorn stuff of work, career goals, ambitions, how the relationships and networking, your closest relationships, all of it, how that all looks. Like even the ones like with your kids, your inner child, it's like, you got to listen to your intuition. Like it only like goes like, well, like taking the action if you align your ego free will with the divine will of what is wanting to come through. And so that's going to look like the basics of Capricorn. It's like run the calculations, right? Like the strategy of like not being afraid of the obstacles and the challenges that are going to be there. But so it's like trusting it from now is more spiritual way that you can overcome those blocks and those challenges, especially the ones that feel like further out in the future that are uncertain and you can't understand yet. There's too complexity with Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn being the modern ruler and Saturn in Pisces. It's like we'll get lost and then we won't get anything done. We won't be able to focus on actually like what is in front of us. So this is going into, you know, a big trust factor of being structurally like protected, like we're all going to be okay. Like even if the boat like tips pretty far, you know, it's like that boat out at sea in Pisces, it's like, whoa, we almost tipped over. But you only like tip over if like you freak out and you go crazy and you like lean into the tipping and you like push your weight and make the boat tip over. So it's an analogy for like self-sabotage. And so, this is like critical times of making sure that we don't self-sabotage, because with Saturn and Pisces, that ruler of this new moon in Capricorn, it's like there's a spiritual scoreboard like being kept. Like the karma is like compounding like interest. So it's like the stuff that you're strategizing and thinking about now, you might as well just assume that it's going to like go through the next 6 months of your life, maybe longer. And so Capricorn brings up positioning. And so the reason it's important to follow our intuition, this is a really key component, is because as we're going to see so much shifting here in 2025, which I'll get into more of like the 2025 outlook, either in a horoscope or a special. I haven't decided yet, probably a special. I'll probably, keep it like lower ticket, but it's like, we can't see fully like where the tracks of life are going. And so we have to be okay with just kind of almost like building the tracks one day at a time and being intuitive and being calculative and still being like smart, like, because I didn't mention, but it's like Saturn, Jupiter, they're starting to come out of that square to where it doesn't feel like things are getting so fucking crushed together of like getting backed up. It's like getting fucking constipated, like, but with everything in life. And it's like, it can feel stressful, like and overwhelming trying to catch up, especially like mentally, subconsciously. And so now that it's like the pressure is starting to like come off of that, it can kind of be like, okay, cool, there's more space for our conscious thinking mind of discerning the circumstances and the facts and, seeing the bigger picture as much as we can in our, environment, what we're paying attention to. Like this, honestly, one of the biggest self-sabotages is people distracting themselves with the same bullshit that's like diminishing returns of like dopamine stimulus. But your conscious mind and subconscious mind have space they can start to communicate if you're willing to give yourself space to discern and like look at what things are happening in your life and kind of being Socratic, being philosophical, and it's like kind of like taking a look and being like, oh, okay, I see that behavior. Like, yeah, I have been being asked to change that. You know what? Fuck it. Let me just like change it now and like make that decision with Saturn and go, okay, what's the spiritual subconscious reprogramming that I need to do? This is about fucking putting a complete end to any behaviors that are even a tinge of self-sabotage, because that's like the human like piece of it. Because we run the familiar patterns and then we stay in the comfort zone and it's like very kid-like and immature, which is not what this new moon asks. Then we're not open to how the wheel in the sky is turning with all this energy of how we're being churned into a different spiritual expression of ourselves. And while that's not going to be fully understood yet, the positioning of Capricorn is making sure, where are you in your reality, in your day-to-day life, the places that you're in, the environments that you're in, basically just like, where is your attention like going? Like the only way spirit can really find us like for those changes, and we can become aware of like, where are we actually vibrating dimensionally? Like this is not, probably said this a million times, like we're not fucking Kansas anymore. Like this is not, like if you're used to like clicking the red slippers and that was your cleansing and how you got home and back to your center, and it's not working no more. Well, welcome to a very rare retrograde of Mars in Leo and going to be going into Cancer on the 6th of January. And that this Capricorn is demanding like new disciplines. I've had a lot of people come to me and basically say their high energetic hygiene, their spiritual practices aren't like really working. And it's like, well, part of that, yeah, I'm like, do I give this away? They're like, yeah, give it to them. Give it to me, daddy. I don't know where that came from, but they're asking me to goof off more, right? Because like that's part of like my, that's like a great example. It's like we sometimes are clearing our energy, or we don't want to be around this person or whatever, but that's like fear-based. That's like defensiveness. That's like, Capricorn wants us to understand like, yes, physical boundaries, but it's like me joking around and saying something expressive like raises my frequency to joy, and like that is my boundary. Like that is my frequency, repels people that aren't willing to like meet me at that frequency. Like joy cuts through a lot of the fear and the bullshit like right away. So actually what a lot of this, is about, in terms of like anything that's not working in your life anymore the way that you wanted to, and making more adult-like commitments to seeing through those obstacles and challenges, as I've been saying, it really is about raising the frequency, but it's also not about like leaving the body and getting like too woo-woo in the mental realms, because I know a lot of people can do that. Remember, it's Capricorn, right? It's Earth, it's cardinal Earth, so it's a new start to how we realistically approach things. Uranus and Taurus off that square to Venus now, at least. So, I mean, there still are going to be ascension symptoms physically in the body. That shit's not going away. That's something we've been dealing with, though, really started back in 2018. But it's not just, getting excited and happy, because with that Mercury and Sagittarius, it's like if we start, creating the belief in the story that everything's like going well, we got to make sure we don't have rose-colored glasses on with all this, this Capricorn New Moon, Saturn and Pisces, and that it's like, no, like the facts are actually there. You're actually having a good experience, the adventure, because we don't want to get like manic of the highs and lows, because with Saturn and Pisces, the lows feel really heavy, and then it can feel like we've got to, learn to fucking shoulder press 250 pounds of weight, when the max you've ever done is like 50 or something, and it's like too much weight to lift off. It's like the frequency feels too low. It's like a sinking feeling. And so that sinking feeling, that's that lower timeline shit. I saw an interesting article someone put out about how fucking Pope, supposedly opened up some portals. No offense to religion, but also fuck religion. It was like, he fucking, opened these portals or whatever, and one channeler was like, their theory, or their channeling, I guess, was that is like kind of funneling people into like a lower timeline, to like where they could still live with their fears, but then eventually that timeline, their fears, they would just force them to leave the planet. And that's what I've been channeling too. That's the hard part about all this too. It's like Capricorn's like the Jaws theme song, like dunna, 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 dunna. Like the shark is like circling the waters, like Capricorn, Saturn, and Pisces, Pluto and Aquarius. It's like that Grim Reaper thins the lines between the complexities of like what we need to do to step into our evolution as human beings, and that honest, like radical truth of expression and innovating. And so part of this energy too is like, do you have the adult wisdom and commitment to evolve out of like any kid energy of like gimme, 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 to like, let me go out and be a self-starter and create it and be sustainable with it, with Uranus and Taurus, that joy expression, like that's part of like what keeps us alive and keeps our vitality going. It's why the sun loves to be in Leo, where Mars is at retrograde. It's teaching us that we, like, our soul starts to check out when we're just like fucking zombies and we're not having fun and we're not expressing. And so it's not about thrill seeking outside of ourselves, because then that's still like just the adrenaline rush with this astrology and running with the pack, even though some of that energy is breaking apart. But it's like the courage, the willingness to consistently keep showing up and expressing like what is true, regardless of what the people around us and the relationships are saying. It's like very Leo-like energy where, that is like what helps you evolve, like the joy, that's a high frequency. So it's like, the thing is like, you see people, I want to share this, but they're saying not to share it. So I'm like, okay, I'll back off of that. But like, basically it's like, you got to look at people that are happy, excited, but are they doing the sad clown thing? Like Robin Williams, like everyone loved him, but he had depression and all this other stuff. So it's like this astrology can bring up depressive energies, like to actually have to balance out and be copacetic with change and transformation. And like, you know, just because someone's happy on the outside, if you feel happy on the outside or optimistic, but like internally your inner moments are really low, and that's part of like the divine's pressure asking you to like ascend and do something like more courageous. Well, you know, you are kind of flirting with the traditional understanding of Capricorn, which is hell, you know, like being in jail. And Saturn and Pisces, it can feel like a real holographic reality of being in a mental institution of sorts where you're in jail and you feel stuck and you don't know where to go because this reality is evolving, and we're, you know, releasing the karma of like having a relationship or some beautiful situation that we used to think was beautiful and now it's not. And it's actually, you wake up and it's like, like you're scary. I see you without makeup now. So this is about, you know, not forcing the makeup to come off. This is not about forcing anything in our lives. It's more just about like the discernment to go, oh, wait, like I can courageously evolve when the intuition like hits. Let me just go do that thing and then see how I feel on the other side, and loosen expectations, because none of us really know where this is like fully going. It really is not about having control. Like the best use of this Capricorn energy, especially because it is making that semi-square over to Venus, is like, you know, maybe we got to look at this like we roll the dice based upon some spiritual, intuitive, but still smart calculations, and then see who it connects with, see who it aligns with, and not even worried about the people situation and the relationships or who wants to connect over it. So bottom line, go be you. This is a big new moon, new year to be your best self, but it's not about programming it in this like traditional like narcissistic way that it's like not healing or releasing or doing like your inner work. It's like an actual like real glow up on like all levels, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and owning that fully, and like shitting out these indoctrinations of like you're like glamming yourself up for people thinking that that's somehow going to bring you something that you want or some form of abundance or prosperity, when really it just keeps things going in like a victim loop of the old reality. So I know that can be a lot to take in, but the truth is like default back to your intuition, go to your human design, maybe understand your gene keys. I meant to look up what gene key this new moon falls in. So I'll just post that in the description section since I forgot to, because that adds value to it too for insight. But, you know, looking at your gene keys, like cleaning up your energy field. Like honestly, last thing, and we'll pull some cards here, is like we need to be getting activations right now for moving forward. Like the release piece and the clearing piece and that old fear-based programming I mentioned, it's like we'll do better to commit to upgrading to such a higher frequency that then it becomes an easy, clear choice that you have to sabotage and go back down and do things that you know are naughty, and then you're back like in it. And so it's not about releasing to feel better, it's about upgrading and receiving and anchoring in like more light. So like if you want to get an activation, if you want to work with me one-on-one, that's part of what I do for people. It's like upgrading your frequency and your consciousness. I give you your homework, and then, you know, till I see you next. Some clients, you know, they do 3 6-month containers with me. It's week to week. We'll see them weekly, but it's like whenever I see you, it's like you got to go do that thing. You know, you got the tools. Just go execute. Which I am a Capricorn, and that's a very Capricorn energy for new moon stuff, right? Where it's like you get the tools, you've got the fresh start, you got this fucking horoscope. You're like, if you watched it this far, you're getting guidance, Capricorn, practical, real guidance in your life. That it's real as in like that it's hermetic, it's looking at the evolving times. It's not just like well, you know, just fucking write down your 5 goals and just go do them and just fucking manifest your destiny and act like everyone's a fucking manifester when 70% of the people are generators and manifesting generators in human design and aren't fucking manifestors, and that doesn't work. most of us are designed to respond to life. So, respond to this video, respond to like the information that you're naturally receiving without going on some crazy chase. It's like the information that you need to actually calculate your plans. But then you got to execute it. That's part of the Capricorn discipline. So if you do want to work with me one-on-one for energetic activation work, it just makes things easier. It makes things clearer. Sheds karma. Like basically just deals with a lot of the energetic stuff that people are trying to like shit out and feel better. But it's like you shit it out, but then you also get the divine's invitation and even demand for those of you that get it, that are here to like anchor the light and be courageous, to go out and take new actions that are deprogrammed from your old programming and patterns of fear-based living patterns, because that's what this new moon's really about. And to get excited and still have fun with all of it, because, really when you take a step back, it's like the dark humor of Capricorn. It's like where life is a tragedy and a comedy, and you're like, wow, like this is fucking weird. Like, there's like good stuff happening, but then there's like bad stuff, but then like the way that you think that you should deal with the good stuff and the bad stuff isn't like what you would naturally think. It's actually like this way, and you're being asked to do this. And so, it is trusting too in developing like a sort of like grandmother to grandchild relationship with your fucking spirit guides and ETs and stuff, that they're gonna like help you get to where you want to go without like pressuring you to do it. They're just as excited for you, if not more sometimes. So to go out and get it. Without further ado, let's see what we got for the cards. I feel like I'm on a roll today. It's Capricorn energy, right? And also too, if you're catching this video before, I didn't mention, I'll put it in the description, but it's like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, especially this new moon energy. But then also, as I mentioned, it goes throughout the year. But if you're watching this, like even like prior to like the afternoon, early evening time on Sunday, just be aware that is the dark moon territory. That's the devil days of the astrology of the moon, your emotions offline. So if you're watching this right after a post, especially on Saturday, it's like it's in Sag. Don't think you can just go out and run out and have the most exciting time in your life and not do the checks and balances that you need to do for decisions. And then when it goes into Capricorn, it's kind of like a wait, use the brakes a little bit more than the gas. It's like being in a fucking traffic jam. Like you're not getting anywhere faster, like stomping on the gas, like when a car moves half a car length forward. Like we're all kind of in a traffic jam, like trying to go back to source right now and release a lot of stuff. And so there's answers that we're searching for to move things forward, but source is in us, and it's trying to find us just as much. Just we gotta be patient. Gotta be patient, especially if you're watching this early, because where that moon's going through Sag, crossing Mercury, it's definitely about being patient about getting the answers mentally. Let's see what we got for this new moon and into the year. So we got the Virgo card, digest, but in reverse. So, Mercury, just talking about it, Sagittarius. It's like too much information to digest. It's like, holy fuck. To be honest, like we're so fucking close to node shifting, and that's out there going into Virgo. I mean, I'll even say this like literally. It's like checking in with your actual digestion of your stomach health, but also like how your mind like links to it, how you're digesting ideas, beliefs. Like you want to be in a position where you're releasing, shitting out, like digesting things like in a good way. And the easiest way to make sure that that's aligned on the spiritual, physical, emotional, and even mental level, of course, it's like, well, check out what media sources you're consuming, what information, right? Capricorn wants us to restrict. So it's like, if it doesn't make sense for your plans, maybe that's too much and it's digesting too much info. We did get the solar calm clarified card, but in reverse position. So I know things can feel angsty. It's like, you know, going into the new year, leaving the holidays, like everyone can feel like, I think everyone pretty much at this point is like, wow, like, are we actually in the house, like going through the twister that really did leave Kansas, and like, where are we going? And so we got to pay attention though of like how much of that is our own subconscious crazy Saturn and Pisces like doing, and like we're the wizard behind the curtain, where sometimes like we're creating the chaos because we're still going on a search, or we're not paying attention to our manifestations too. And it reminds me of the chaos of like Fantasia with Mickey, where it's like he puts the brooms to work and he thinks he's all smart. He's, you know, fucking manifesting Saturn Pisces, oh, law of attraction, you know, just all this stuff. But then it's like he, you know, it actually causes even more of a mess. So it's like we've got to watch where we're like making a mess, like with our manifestations of like where our attention and our energy is going. And I think this is one of the hardest parts. And it's like, even for me, it's like, because, you know, I have a ton of Capricorn, but it's also, it's, you know, Sun, Jupiter in the 10th, but then also a few things in the 9th in Capricorn. So it's like, I like to have a lot of commitments and plans, but it's like, what is like the bigger, more strategic commitment that's a commitment to yourself and your authenticity to make sure that you're expressing like that piece of it. And like, that's your manifestation. It's like, you're the extension of you as the manifestation. So I'm just channeling the astrology too, as I say that, with especially the nodes, you know, North Node in Aries, Chiron direct, that Mars retrograde in Leo. Which, speaking of which, the dignified strength card, it's a lot of the same cards that keep coming up. You know, it's the same, you know, type of astrology. It's like tapping into a lot of just the slow moving energies of the planets, especially the outer ones. But it's like in the retrograde, it's like dignified strength, but reverse. Okay, we're not feeling our strongest. Fuck. Like, wow, you know, a Capricorn New Moon, and it's like, it can bring up like, well, what is next? You know, like, especially like without Pluto, and it's like, well, you know, wait, there's no like demonic panther gonna jump out. There's no like zombie that's trying to bite me. It's like, you mean I can just like plan and like do my thing? It's like, yeah. It's like, but wait, I just like got out of the hospital bed. And it's like, well, how much of that though is our own like thinking of like the fear-based propaganda stuff and our old subconscious beliefs and deprogramming that we need to do, where it's like the moment that you're not feeling your best, that it's like, well, okay, it's the A start, am I in fear and not feeling the, you know, thinking too far ahead about the challenge, and then also going, am I focused enough on my own personal life that, am I feeling not strong because people in the environment or collectively, like there's not a strength there? Then it's like, oops, whoopsie, you know, I'm on the collective status quo frequency. I'm like dipping my toe in the water of the lower timeline. I need to like rise up, because it's like when you rise up into the higher frequencies that I mentioned, it's like that strength is there. But for whatever reason, with the Chiron card, all about healing, then with those Aries, it's in reverse. It's almost like our egos like want to have it a certain way, just almost like running the same patterns, not changing. The Uranus reverse card, and we got to get out of that past. It's reversed. Sorry, I'm going really quick with the cards. I'm not letting you see how pretty they are, but we got to release that shit. So, but, you know, I just keep pulling reversals here. It's like we're in a space where we don't want to get like locked up, because like we're just like, whoa, I don't know where this is going. I really think this discernment of focus of what you're doing in your own life matters the most. And I do think that because of the challenges like that we don't know that we're going through, pulled the North Node future card for, so I was like asking about like, well, you know, how much of that like practical Capricorn justice do we need? It's like, well, we do need that. That's what's going to lead us forward. So we're actually in a position where even as all these things are going on and that, and, you know, where's this going? And I want to do this and I want to create this. We still need to stay grounded and practical, and regardless of, it's almost like, doesn't matter if it's like the year 1900 or the year 2025, it's like, go through the tunnel, stay on the tracks, like do the stuff that like makes fucking sense, you know, because the real truth is like, I know everyone's excited for the future that's, you know, the new earth stuff, but it's like, I'm just going to say it, that's the node shifting, like South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces. Like, I always, for the most part of my chart, get like those nodes in the houses in my natal chart that reflect those energies a year and a half before it happens, meaning I've had South Node in Libra in the 6th, North Node Aries in the 12th. So it's like, I will tell you, and this is also just basic astrology, it's like South Node in Virgo, it can feel like you're in hell and reality has no fucking meaning. There's no spiritual substance. It's all just monotonous, mechanical. Things just are. There's not an understanding of how the universe really fits or works together. You know, even just like figuring out all the stressful situations in life and people, health routines, health will be a big one. It can feel like hell. It's like we have to bring a spiritual, reverent component to our life to make it like magical, to like where it seems like, gosh, fuck, I'm doing all this like work, but, you know, I'm not really getting somewhere. And it's like, well, that's where we have to use the imagination part of it and the subconscious reprogramming to level up that I mentioned about lifting our consciousness. And it's not about doing 1,000 activities to fix anything with this Capricorn new moon. It really is about lifting yourself to a higher vibration. And then from there, just like doing the 3D piece that we're still in, but you're doing it in a different way. It's a different approach. It's more of a cleaner slate now that Pluto's came in and demolished all the stuff that was out of integrity in Capricorn. So this is about being spiritual person of integrity. It's like, what would Anakin Skywalker have looked like if he would have dealt with his emotional issues and done his healing and dealt with his ego? Like, who could he have become, you know, if he would have worked for the light? So I think that's how we have to be looking at this, is not letting emotions, reactivity, ego lead the charge, you know, of things about how things are going and trying to force change, because the universe isn't going to just, you know, throw life rafts anymore to people that have been ignoring the calling to rise up into a higher, better, courageous expression of themselves. So it's astrology from a masculine, from a Capricorn, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you all. Catch you on the next horoscope. Check out those links down below. See ya.